The story in Karnataka has shocked people across the country, and it's a pattern. We've seen similar killings in Udaipur, and then in Amravati, and then in Dakshina Kannada. The story of Praveen Nettaru, there's a lot of anger on the ground, and people are beginning to ask questions. And joining us on this special broadcast this Thursday afternoon is Rajeev Chandrasekhar. Rajeev Chandrasekhar is the Minister of State for Electronics and Information Technology, and also, more importantly, someone who's from Karnataka and knows the situation. Rajeev Chandrasekhar, thank you for speaking to Republic TV. A lot of people are angry, Rajeev, about how this has happened, the manner, the brazen manner in which Praveen Nettaru was murdered, and how the killers fled. Yes, some of them have been arrested, but many more are at large this afternoon.
No, you're absolutely right. I think everybody is entitled to be angry. I am angry. Everybody who's a friend or colleague of Praveen is absolutely angry. And indeed, almost every person in Karnataka is really angry at this kind of brazen violence and brazen killing that has occurred. And for somebody to have just tweeted or posted a Facebook post and to be found finally the victim of this kind of a violent crime is just completely unacceptable in civilized society and in a country like ours, where the rule of law prevails and the law is supposed to be a deterrent against behavior of this kind. But I have said this before, and I say this again, that under Pinarayi Vijayan in the last 6 years, 5 years in Kerala, there has been a culture created of safe haven for those who conduct these violent crimes. Kerala themselves have seen 5 to 6 over the last 5 years, over 22 political assassinations and killing of this kind. And we also know from eyewitnesses that these were people who had driven across the border on Kerala registered motorcycles who conducted this killing. So it is really a problem that the safe haven for terror and radicalism that Pinarayi Vijayan has fostered in the last 4-5 years in Kerala is beginning to spread its tentacles and impact innocent people in Karnataka. I have said this earlier, that this is the Pinarayi Vijayan government's conduct and tolerance of this type of violent crimes is an issue not just for Keralites and Malayalis. It is also an issue for adjoining states like Karnataka, and we have seen that poor Praveen has paid the price of this type of safe haven that the Pinarayi Vijayan has created in Kerala.
Now, Rajeev, in the last few weeks and months, we have seen even Pinarayi Vijayan himself, his state government, come under extreme pressure on the issue of PFI and SDPI especially. And the reason I say PFI and SDPI, even though nothing much is on record as of this minute, is because a union minister, Prahlad Joshi, your colleague, has said that there is a suspected role of PFI, SDPI. A letter that was written by Shobha Karandlaje to Amit Shah, the Home Minister, also hints at a PFI, SDPI role. And even the ministers in Karnataka, the Home Minister, Chief Minister included, are speaking about a possible role. Now, if there is a role, questions are being asked on what the government is doing on the PFI and the SDPI.
So first of all, Niranjan, I want to just assure through you, every Kannadiga, everybody who is watching, who knew Praveen, who did not know Praveen, who know of Praveen today and his tragic death, that the government of Karnataka will leave no stone unturned. They will hunt down these killers and everyone who aided and abetted them. On this, there should be absolutely no doubt in anybody's mind. The Chief Minister has assured the state and the people that he will put the police, he has created a special squad, a special force, that these kind of crimes will not be tolerated in Karnataka. This is not Pinarayi Vijayan's government, this is a BJP government headed by CM Bommaiji, and we will not allow these people to escape the long arm of law. Number one. Number two, to the point of PFI and SDPI, this is an issue that everybody, regardless of political color or prism, needs to address. This is a problem that is going to really create chaos in our communities and societies and the rule of law and respect for law as we know it. We cannot have a situation where people are assaulted with violent harm and consequences because they post something. We are supposed to address these issues through rule of law. We are supposed to be a civilized community of people. And so if there are these outliers who take violence and use violence to project their political power, project their political ideology, these organizations must be dealt with decisively. I say this as an individual citizen of Karnataka and somebody who is deeply anguished and upset about the killing of Praveen. But I think it is time for a conversation and a discourse about how to deal with these organizations that try and legitimize violence, that try and take violence and killing into what should be normal discourse and disagreements between people about political views.
Yeah. Rajeev, the fact today is that the PFI and the SDPI are still legitimate bodies. In fact, yesterday, one Congress person, a leader who was on Republic, even went to the extent of saying SDPI is a legitimate political organization, legitimate political party, when questioned on how some of the political parties in the past, the Congress included, gave patronage to the SDPI, took the SDPI support during elections. And that's when the danger begins, because now the tentacles of the PFI have spread to states like Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, and across India it's becoming a huge concern. And politically, I think many parties are exploiting this.
Niranjan, you're absolutely right. The PFI and the SDPI represent as far away and divergent an idea from democracy as possible. They believe in violence. They believe in projecting violence to achieve their means and end. They consider violence as a legitimate means to their end. And they are a group of organizations and ideologies that are about as far away from the concept of Indian democracy as you can get. They are like leeches that have lived off of the blood of the Indian democracy, lived off our libertarian, free democracy and free society values, and use our openness, our ability to assimilate and diversity, use all of these democratic values and ideals to wage war and violence against the very people that allow these democracies to allow our democracy to foster and develop. So there is something deeply contradictory about PFI and SDPI's role vis-a-vis the Indian democracy. Our democracy is plural. It welcomes multiple views. It welcomes different types of ideas and discourses. But never have we allowed people to project violence and use violence to intimidate and silence an opposing view. And in my opinion, these are in a sense viruses that many decades of appeasement have allowed them to grow and become these full-fledged hydras, multi-headed monsters that are now waging war on innocent people in India. And I think at some point we have to say enough is enough, and we have to deal with these kind of organizations that prey on innocent people for their political views with violence decisively and firmly under the Indian law.
My last question to you, Rajeev Chandrasekhar. You have strong views on the PFI. Most BJP leaders do have strong views on the PFI. Leaders, especially from Karnataka, have strong views on the PFI and SDPI. At this minute, will you or anybody from your party raise the demand for a PFI ban in Parliament in this session?
Look, Niranjan, this is way, I am a minister, I'm a part of a larger team of Council of Ministers and a government in the Union of India. These are not issues that we will decide on a television conversation. I have laid out to you what I believe as an individual and as a minister I believe about the PFI and the SDPI. The political and the other actions against these organizations, our government will always act within the law, within the framework of the law. And whatever action needs to be taken, faced with whatever evidence is presented for this killing and this murder, the government of Karnataka and the government of India will, you can rest assured, take every action that is required to be taken.
Okay. Thank you for that, Rajeev. I can tell you because in every debate that we have on these killings or we've had in the last couple of months, the only question that most panelists who often support the government and even the opposition ask is if you have strong views on the PFI or the SDPI, why haven't these groups been banned? So let's see where the story goes. Thank you, Rajeev. Chandrasekhar.